Yo, what's up? Welcome inside the opening line. Corey and Benny having more technical difficulties than the NBC News staff last night. Oh, man, it's the opening line, part of the Elite Fantasy Sports Network. Benny, my man, what's going on?
Not too much. We got kind of a slow day today in sports, Corey. There's not much going on. There's a couple soccer games, there's not even a lot of baseball. I think the early slate for baseball is actually bigger than the late slate. I think there's only like 3 or 4 games tonight, and there's like 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah, no, it's a tough day. So my guess is you spend a lot of today getting a lot of Woj bombs today. You know what I'm saying? I can see that happening. Stephen A. Skip, somebody like that may say something crazy and trend. You know what I'm saying? Clay Travis might try to start a revolution about nothing. So listen, we got a couple things, but we do got some Women's World Cup. We got some baseball. We got some things to talk about. Benny, how was your betting day yesterday?
Let's see. What did we do yesterday? There really wasn't a lot that was out there. The big thing was the U.S. soccer. U.S. soccer winning yesterday was big for me. Josie Altidore goal late in that game. I got a bunch of parlays that are live today that had the U.S. team in it, the U.S. men's team in it. So I need Brazil to win today, which they should. They're like a minus 500 favorite, and threw a couple golf picks in there, just, based off the stuff we had on the website. I'm not a golf guy, so don't ask me any golf questions.
No, it's on the website, yeah. That website's at elitesportsbetting.com. You go over there right now and sign up, and you can be a golf guy.
Honestly, that's basically what I do. Like, there are sports, baseball, basketball, football. Obviously I'm deep into them, so I do my own research and kind of go my own way. But there are so many other sports out there that we can bet on that I really have no clue and no edge. But that's why we hired the best guys in each one so that we had an edge. So I just listen to what they do and kind of piggyback on their bets, and, it's been making me money.
I agree with you 100%. Yesterday's heartbreaker, I was on, and I don't know why I even consider it heartbreak, Benny. While I was out in Jersey yesterday, I was like, well, I ain't got to bother nobody to put a bet in for me. Let me go ahead and throw something in myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the Mets team total over 4.5, and I was like, oh God. I was like, here we go. And I was like, I'm going. I don't know why I'm going to play this. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't win a Mets bet to save my life, and it's probably karma for all the things that I've said to the Mets.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Mets fans can't get a Mets win to save their life either.
But they knew coming into it as well and odd. So we missed that one last night. I thought the Mets would have had a lot of opportunities. The San Diego Padres I had on that 3 o'clock game against the Orioles, so we caught that one at a decent number. And then I had the Tigers last night too, and that did not work out as well. So that's kind of where I was at. But looking to hop back in today with some of that stuff. Before we get the picks for the day, Benny, looking at some NFL team totals. Let's run through the AFC right quick, see if we can find any value. Start with the Patriots. Patriots coming at 11.
Minus 1,100?
No, I mean 11 wins.
Oh, 11 wins on the team total? I'd take the over on that.
Really?
I mean, listen, look at the division, right? Like, again, I'm a Jets fan, and I'm probably not as high on the Jets as everybody else is, but you got to figure that's at least 1, probably 2 wins. You look at Buffalo, again, probably 2 wins. They're going to go 5-1 in the division, worst case scenario.
And then they play the AFC East, plays the NFC East this year. So the Patriots will have Dallas,
free win against the Giants, free win against the Redskins. So that's 7-1 right there. Then
wins right there. Then you got to figure they'll play Kansas City. They'll probably play Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So you're looking at, I think when you really get started, you're looking at an easy 8. Then you have a couple games, you know what I'm saying, to kind of determine where they'll end up falling somewhere around that number. 11's a big number. This is like a push to me. I see the Patriots 11-5.
If they can go 500 against the Eagles, the Cowboys, KC, all the top teams that they have to play, all the number 1 teams from last year, if they go 500 against those 8 teams and they win 7 of the 8 games against, their division opponents and the Giants and the Redskins, which, again, I don't think is crazy, that puts them at 12. I put them at 11 or 12. They'll be right there. So I think it's a good number. What are we getting on it? Is there plus money odds or is it?
It's minus one. It's minus 130 on it. Right.
Yeah, minus 130. That's not good value.
That's not a good value. I agree with you. They opened up against the Steelers on Sunday night. I did not know that was the first Sunday night game of the year. Patriots and Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just Dolphins, Jets, Bills, Redskins, Giants, Jets.
They're going to be 8-0. That's the beginning of their season schedule. They're going to be 8-0.
Then they have a matchup against the Browns in New England. Then they go on the road November 3rd to Baltimore. That's a game that Baltimore will win.
Yeah, that's a tough game.
Yeah. Then after that, it's Eagles, Cowboys, Texans. Wow, this is a tough stretch right here. Browns, Ravens, Eagles, Cowboys, Texans, Chiefs. That's their season in a nutshell right there.
But again, if they go 3-3 through that gauntlet, if they go 3-3, 500 football, and they win all those games at the beginning of the season, they're at 11 with 2 games to play.
Yep, there you go. They're at 11 with the Bengals, the Bills, and the Dolphins remaining on the schedule, so they might win 14 games.
Again, I mean, listen, we all know if Tom Brady's healthy, that I fully expect them to get double-digit wins and make the playoffs and make a run again. I mean, that's it's what's happened the last decade. I'm not going to change my thoughts on it now.
I mean, it's just as somebody who's not somebody who does not support the New England Patriots, you kind of my thing is always somebody in the East is going to catch them, but that's always like optimistic. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
as a Jet fan, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like you look at this division, right? The Jets are most people on paper say the Jets are the second best team in this division this year, right? Okay. Do you think the Jets can beat the Patriots?
No.
I don't either. So really, if that's the second best team, I mean, again, I'm just being a realist. If that's the second best team, you should run through that division. You should get you really should get 6 wins, but even if you go 5-1 through that division, that's probably worst case scenario.
Yeah, no, I can dig it. They'll lose a game at Miami or something like that. That's normally how the Patriots do. The Buffalo Bills are up next. 6.5 is the number on the Buffalo Bills. The over is sitting at minus 170. The under is sitting at plus 145. Josh Allen and the boys. This is the team, Benny, that is in New York back-to-back weekends. They're in New York the first weekend of the season, and they're in New York the second weekend of the season. They open up versus the Jets, and then week 2 versus the Giants.
Well, I mean, technically Buffalo is in New York, so they're always in New York, but they're in like the actual part of the, not even. They're technically in New Jersey for the first 2 weekends.
The thing about it is crazy is the Buffalo Bills are the only team that's in New York.
Yeah. I honestly would like to take the over, but I'm not going to do it at minus 170, right? That's what you said it was?
Minus 170 on the over.
Yeah, I mean, again, this whole division, because I think this division is bad, like any of these teams that emerge as decent are going to wind up with 4 wins against, the other teams in this division. So you can see them getting a 7, but at minus 170, there's no value there.
They're going to have to make that. They're going to have to make that hay early because after Thanksgiving, they go at Dallas, home for Baltimore, at Pittsburgh, at New England, and they close versus the Jets. That's their finish right there.
I mean, you're losing at least 4 of those 5 games, if not all 5 of them. So maybe the under is actually the better bet here.
Especially when you get that hook at 6.5. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that is the value, and that's sitting at 145. The next team in that division is the Miami Dolphins. This could get ugly right here.
Yeah, I don't even know what the under is, but I'll take it. I don't know what the number is, but I'll take the under.
4.5.
That's it?
Yeah. And I'd probably take the under on the 4.5. The under is at plus 125.
I'd rather be on the under 4.5 than the over 4.5.
They open up Ravens, Patriots, Cowboys, Chargers. That's how they open.
So you're 0-4. Okay.
Then you have
no way they're winning any of those 4 games.
No, that's that, and only one of those games are on the road. The one against Dallas is on the road.
But
that game should have been in Miami, Benny, because September in Miami with the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, that'd have been an awesome weekend right there, Benny.
That's a road trip you could have got that. You could have got me down on. That would have been one I would have been there. I don't even like either one of those teams, but I would have been like, wait, I'm going to Miami? Okay.
No doubt. So that's how they start. They're 0-4. Then they'll have the bye. Then you got Redskins.
Winnable.
That's a winnable game. Then
Not saying they'll win, but it's winnable, you know.
Then they're on the road for Bills and Steelers.
Bills winnable, Steelers probably not.
Yeah, they're not going to win that one. Then they're home for the Jets.
Winnable.
Then they're at the Colts. That's a loss.
Yep.
They got the Bills. That's
winnable. I mean, again, not that they're going to win, but games that they could win.
Then it's at the Browns. Then it's Browns, Eagles, Jets, Giants, Bengals, Patriots to end.
Jets, Giants, Bengals in there is where it's gonna get decided.
Yep, that's exactly that stretch right there.
That's the decision right there on whether or not they get over 4.5.
Yep. So I don't think it's a no bet for me, but I really think that this is a team that could be dealing with some kind of futility like we've never seen before. Well, we've seen teams go with no wins. I think the Dolphins are in tank mode. Mm-hmm. I think it's Tua or bust to get a quarterback for that franchise.
Yep.
That's where I think the Dolphins are at right there. Next up, Benny, is your New York Jets. You know what the number is?
8.
7.
7 on the dot or 7.5?
7 on the dot. So they're not giving you the hook.
Again, I mean, I kind of feel like that's where they should be. So I like that number. Not one to bet on, but that's kind of where I would project them out to be, is about 7. I don't think they're a playoff team. People think they're a playoff team. I don't think they're getting to 10 wins this year. You know, I hope I'm wrong. As somebody who has to sit through 3 hours of Jet games every Sunday, I hope I'm wrong, but I think they're going to end up somewhere around 8-8, 7-9, somewhere in there is where I think they end up.
They'll be the second-place team in the AFC East. The problem is, how many teams does the North take? See, if the North gets 3 teams in, that makes it difficult for the Jets to backdoor in there. Even if the North doesn't get it, you got to figure the West. The West? You'll have Kansas City. You'll have San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here, the Bills. So, the Jets open up with the Bills. Mm-hmm. Got that big matchup against the Browns in week 2. Odell returns. Then you're at New England. Then you get the bye. And then it's Eagles, Cowboys, Patriots. That's a tough stretch right there.
So that's the Jets' start of the season. They could be 1-5. They could be, if they lose to the Bills, they could be 0-6.
Yeah, it's tough.
I mean, look at the teams you said. The Browns, team that a lot of people think are going to make a lot of noise this year. Patriots, Eagles. Who else did you say? Cowboys.
Yep.
And then who am I missing? Who was the other game?
Patriots, Eagles, Cowboys. Then the Patriots again.
All right. So, like I said, Patriots twice. Those are 2 losses. Eagles, Cowboys, Browns. I mean, even if you beat Buffalo, if you could come out of that 2-4, you got to be happy because you probably should be 1-5 after those games. And then the schedule gets easier, I assume, the last 10 weeks.
Not really. Well, it depends on what you think about the Jaguars. Because then you go to Florida for 2 weeks. You're at Jacksonville and you're at Miami. You'll get to Miami. Can the Jets go into Jacksonville and get a win?
I mean, you're basically, if everybody stays healthy, that game is going to be 13-10 with, probably 40 to 45 rush attempts between the 2 teams together.
You know what? The Jets are going to make hay, though, because if that Jacksonville, that's big for them right there. That's a huge game for the Jets because you get that Jacksonville win. Then you got Dolphins, Giants, Redskins, Raiders, Bengals, Dolphins again.
Again, that's 6 or 7 winnable games in a row right there, but you're starting the season 1-5.
And then it gets to the meat and potatoes of the Jets season. You're at Baltimore, then you're home for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and I don't. Neither one of those is a win either. Honestly, I'm going to take the under now. After going through this, I'd rather have the under.
I think it's sitting at I think it's sitting at 7. That Jacksonville game is really the key. This is us looking at it without injuries and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But that Jacksonville game is kind of the key. You have to get one of that first stretch. Well, you kind of need to get to it all.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, if you look at those first 6 games, right? I consider the Browns a loss. I consider both Patriot games a loss. I consider the Eagles and the Cowboys losses. So that's 5 losses right there. And then you have Baltimore and Pittsburgh towards the end of the season. That's probably 7 losses right there.
Yep.
So now you have the other 9 games. You got 2 against Buffalo, which honestly, like, it's a coin toss to me, the Buffalo game. I don't think the Jets are going to sweep Buffalo and Miami. So if you lose one of those games, you're already at 8 losses right now. And then you have all like the Bengals, all the other teams that you mentioned in the middle there that they have. So
it's right on the number, Benny. The Jets will probably come in with about 7 or 8 wins. It's right on the number.
Yep.
For me, it would be a no bet.
Yep.
Because it's just I really don't see no advantage in it right now. Moving along to the AFC North, we'll start with the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are sitting at 8.5.
See, I don't know. Maybe I'm higher on the Ravens than other people are this year, but I would say over on that because I expect them to make the playoffs. I like the plus 174. What's the odds on it?
The over is the over is 8.5. The juice is on the over. At the 150, the plus 115 is on the over. And this schedule is not. I'm looking at the schedule now, Benny. It's not that daunting. Dolphins, Cardinals, Chiefs, Browns, Steelers to start. The Dolphins and the Cardinals are 2 wins. The Chiefs in Arrowhead is probably tough. The Browns and the Steelers are division matchups right there.
Mm-hmm.
So they can come out of that 4-2, 3-3. Tough one going to Seattle. You don't like that.
Right.
Then you have the bye. Then you have the Patriots. That's that night game that we talked about earlier. That game was in Baltimore. They can definitely win that game. Then it's Bengals, Texans, Rams. I don't think the Rams are going to be that good this year. Bengals, Texans, Rams. That 3 stretch right there, you should be able to get. They might be able to get all 3 of those.
Yeah, I mean, you need at least 2 out of 3 of those.
Yeah. And then it's 49ers, Bills, Jets. Another matchup with the Browns and close the season against the Steelers.
49ers, Bills, Jets. That's 3 right there. They should win all 3 of those games.
Yeah. So the Texans game is a wild card for them, and obviously what they do against the Browns and the Steelers.
So I have, as you were mentioning names, I'm just writing down win, loss, maybes. So I had that as 7 wins with 4 losses and 5 maybes. So really, they got to convert 2 of those 5 maybes into wins. So I don't think that's asking too much.
Those are the division games.
And I included you included the Patriots as a win. I included the Patriots as a loss. You know, and again, I mean, I don't think it's crazy. They could beat the Patriots, but I'm saying so. Even some of those in the loss column, are games that if they play well, they could still win.
Yeah, no, they're in it. They're going to be in the fight. See, that's the one thing. The Harbaugh team is going to be there. Period. You know what I'm saying?
So you said it was 8.5 wins for plus 115?
Yeah.
And a couple days ago when we were talking about teams to make the playoffs, we had the Ravens at what, plus 170?
Yeah, 174. The better bet is them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I was just about to mention that. I think I'd rather –
9 wins in the AFC. That's on the cusp right there.
But, it probably gets you – again, for the extra – you're talking an extra 50% on the payout. That's an extra plus 55 on a 115. So you basically, you're getting an extra 50% on your payout on it. I think I'd take that for 1 win. Because really, if they get to 10, you're going to get into playoffs. Yeah, the 10 is definite, and I think they can get to that number. Up next is the Cincinnati Bengals. The number is 6. Oh my God, I'll take the under right now.
I don't think we can find 6 wins on here. Listen to the start: Seattle, San Francisco,
maybe
the Bills, at the Bills, at the Steelers.
Steelers is a loss.
So the first 4 is at Seattle, home for the 49ers, at Buffalo, at the Steelers. 3 of their first 4 games are on the road.
That's at least 2 losses and 2 maybes. At least 2 losses. I'll give them a maybe for
Bills,
49ers, and a maybe for Buffalo. And the other 2 are definite losses.
I think it's only 4.
Well, again, I'm saying maybes as they could win that game, but I'm not saying they will.
I think they can get one. I think they can get one. They'll get that 49er game. I don't know what the 49ers are going to be.
The 49ers could be very, very good, or the 49ers could suck again this year. I mean, again, I'm being serious. Like, that's one of those teams that I don't really know. Like, you have Garoppolo coming back. Is he going to be the guy he was when they traded for him for those last 4 games or so? Or is he going to be the guy that before he got hurt wasn't really looking like he was going to take that step forward? We don't know. Like, he could take a step forward and be the Tom Brady that people were expecting him to be. Or he could go out there and just be like another one of these overhyped backup quarterbacks that when he gets his chance doesn't come through with it. I mean, last year, this guy before the season, Jimmy Garoppolo was a guy that was going pretty high in drafts. Like, people had him up there as like a top 6 QB last year. So
no doubt.
Like how that works.
The stretch to end the season, this is just – I mean, they're at Baltimore. They're at L.A. They have a home game versus the Jaguars. Lost. Man, their division is going to be brutal to them. When you look at the non-division games, they're at the Raiders.
That they can win.
No doubt. They're at the Raiders. They're at the Rams. 6, I'm going under.
Yeah. I mean, that was my original thought when you brought it up to me. So I'm going to go with the under as well on that one.
But nobody will lose their job. Up next is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Many people think this is the classic division. Their number is 9. They're sitting at 9, Benny. It's going to be the thing with the Steelers is the Steelers have to play those marquee games. That's the problem. Not only do you have that division, you have those marquee matchups against the Patriots, and I'm quite sure the Chiefs are probably on this schedule. No, the Chiefs are not on their schedule. They avoided the Chiefs.
That's good.
That's good for them. Oh, they didn't avoid the Colts, though. But they get the Colts in Pittsburgh.
I mean, listen, you have the Colts in Pittsburgh. You have the Patriots on that first Sunday night. And then that division is pretty good, too. I mean, you got teams in that division that you can lose games to. So, I don't know. It really comes down to how you feel about Baltimore versus Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And to me, I prefer Baltimore. So I'd rather take the 8.5 or the Ravens to make the playoffs than take the Steelers and the Steelers at 9 Steelers at 9 or the Steelers to make the playoffs. So if you prefer the Steelers to the Ravens, then you bet the other way. Me, I prefer the Ravens to the Steelers this year.
Marquee matchups versus the Patriots, the Chargers. They get those 2 teams on the road. And that's in the first. Those are games before the bye. After the bye, it calms down a lot.
Yeah.
The marquee matchups are the Colts and the Rams. Both of those games are in Pittsburgh. Then they'll have the 2 games versus the Browns. Then they'll have, of course, the barn burner at the end of the year versus the Ravens. I wasn't high on Pittsburgh coming into this year, but these first 6 before the bye, they can come out of this 4-2. They'll be in a good spot.
They play the Ravens week 17?
Yeah.
That makes me feel good about the bet. Because whichever one of those 2 teams you want to bet on, week 17 is going to be big because I have a feeling that both of them are going to be in the playoff hunt and that game's going to actually mean something. So whoever you think wins is that at Baltimore or at Pittsburgh?
That last one is at Baltimore.
Yeah, that's why I like the Ravens too. You get into week 16 with them both fighting for, 9-6 to see who goes 10-6 or something like that. I'll take the Ravens at Baltimore in Week 17. So I like the Baltimore Ravens better. I'll stay away from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Cleveland Browns, or 9.5 is the total on the Cleveland Browns, Benny. The over is where the juice is at 125.
And again, the fact that the over is where the juice is at kind of says everything to me. I was going to say under here. Here's the other thing, too, is like you can't take all these teams in the same division to have 9 wins. You're not going to have 3 10-win teams in the division. It's not going to happen. So you got to be under on some of this here. I'm going to kind of go with the Browns under. And I know the Browns are an improving team, and I know they've done a lot, and I know they've added some pieces and stuff like that. But again, you can't take everybody in this division. So for me, I like the Ravens to come out of this division. That's the only team I'm willing to bet the over on.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad bet right there. Looking at this Browns schedule, it's really what do you think about the Browns?
Mm-hmm.
The first 6 weeks of the season is the Titans, the Jets, the Rams, the Ravens, the Niners, and the Seahawks. The road game for the Jets, the Ravens, and the 49ers.
I think worst case scenario there, you come out 3-3. And that's worst case.
That's
worst case.
Yeah, I agree. That's worst case scenario there is 3-3. That's not the start that they're going to be looking for. You come out of that 3-3, then you got at New England, followed by at Denver. Denver is not, primetime team in the AFC no more, but
still not an easy place to go and win.
Not an easy place to go win. You get through that. If you're 4-4 through that, you need to make a run. Then you have Bills, Steelers, Dolphins. So
2-1.
Yeah, you come out of that. That's
at least 2-1. So you're talking at least 6-5. I mean, that's not great. 6-5 right there.
Then you have Dolphins. Then you go to Pittsburgh. You get that Dolphins for 7. Then you have Bengals, Cardinals, Ravens, Bengals. So they should be able to finish strong to get them to about 9 wins.
Yeah, 3. That last you should win 3 of those last 4 games, if not all 4. Assuming how you feel about the Ravens. Yep. So, like I said, they're gonna be right down there too. They're gonna be at like 9 wins, going to Baltimore towards the end of the season. So Baltimore finishes with Cleveland and Pittsburgh in their last 2 games.
No, Baltimore finishes with the Jets and the Steelers.
So they have Cleveland the week before that. So they go Cleveland, Jets, Steelers, Baltimore? Okay.
No, they don't.
Not easy.
The last time – wait a minute. I thought Baltimore and Cleveland Baltimore and Cleveland do play in Week 16.
And then they play the Steelers in Week 17. So the Ravens end their season with the Browns and the Steelers.
Am I missing a week? No, because the Browns end their season with the Ravens and the Bengals.
Yeah, and the Steelers, yeah. So the Ravens' last 2 games are against their 2 division opponents, which is going to be a big end of the season for them, which is also good because that means that there's a good chance that they're going to be playing to win those 2 weeks and not sitting guys and staying away from it. So I kind of like that with the Ravens having them, and I like when they do that too in the NFL. Like there should be suspense. Yeah, there should be suspense the last couple weeks of the season with teams jockeying for position within their own division. So I like that.
No doubt. In the AFC South, you got the Indianapolis Colts. They kick it off at 9.5. It's a lot. That's a big number for the Colts. Bill, and now I'm looking at their schedule. I think I found, they got the NFC South. They got the NFC South. That makes it tough. They open up on the road at San Diego and at Tennessee.
They win Tennessee. San Diego is a maybe.
Then they come home for Falcons Raiders.
Win the Raiders, Falcons are a maybe.
Those are going to be shootouts.
Yeah. That's a game I'm stacking for DFS. What week is that? Is that week 4?
You already know that, right?
Yeah. Week 4, I'm stacking the hell out of that one.
You already know that one right there. Then they're home. Okay, they're home for Falcons Raiders. Then another showdown game Sunday night at Kansas City. So then they have the bye. So their first 5, they should be in that 3-2 range.
Yeah.
Possibly 4-1.
I have them with 2 definite wins and 3 maybes.
Okay.
5 games.
Then it's Houston, who they seem to own Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's Denver. They're better than Denver. Showdown game at Pittsburgh.
There's a lot of maybe games in here, man.
Do you think the Texans is the maybe? You think the Texans is the maybe game?
I think that. I'm going to put them as a maybe game, but like for me, there are certain games where I'm going to say there's no way they win or they definitely win. Everything else goes in that maybe category because I'm trying to figure out lock wins, lock losses, and then how do you – because basically your season comes down. You're supposed to beat up on the crappy teams. You're supposed to lose to the great teams. And your season comes down to how you play against those other teams that are clumped up with you in the middle. You know what I mean? And by the middle, I mean everybody 5 through 25 in the league. You know what I'm saying?
Makers actually did them a favor because after they go to Pittsburgh, right, it's Dolphins, Jaguars, then at Texans.
Okay.
After they come out of Houston, that Houston game's a night game in Houston. After they come out of that, Titans and Buccaneers.
So I got them at 7. Right now I have them at 7 wins, no losses, 6 maybes.
All right. Titans and Buccaneers. Then they go this, and here's the two games right here. That's going to make or break this total. They're at New Orleans, then they come home for Carolina.
So I have New Orleans as a loss and Carolina as a maybe. So I have them as 7 wins, 1 loss, 7 maybes right now. And then who's in week 16?
At the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And what's the win total?
9.5.
So, I mean, I have them, depending on how you feel about Jacksonville, I have them beating Jacksonville once, and I put the game at Jacksonville as a maybe. So I have them at 7 wins, 1 loss, 8 maybes. So, I mean, if you go 500 in those maybe games, you're over that win total. So I don't think that's crazy. I like the 9.5 on the Colts.
And the 9.5 is where Vegas is at, too, because the over is minus 150.
Over 9.5 is minus 150? Yeah, like I said, I mean, when you start looking at these numbers, like I said, you give them half wins for those games that, those 8 games that you're there, you're at 11 wins. If they win half of those 8 maybe games, you're at 11 wins.
I like the Colts. You know what? The Colts over, I think, is a good one right there. The Jacksonville Jaguars are at 7.5. When do they go to London?
Are they a London team this year?
They go to London every year.
That's right. Mercedes. People in England think Mercedes Lewis is the best football player in America.
Exactly.
He had 3 touchdowns there last year. They're like, this guy's awesome.
They got his jersey. They do rock Jaguar jerseys out there. I'm about to say, you can find the game. Yeah, because the game will have the 9:30 start November 3rd versus the Texans. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars' annual trip to London. It starts off with the Chiefs and the Texans the first 2 weeks.
That's not good.
Then you're home for Tennessee.
That's a winnable game.
Then you're at the Broncos and at the Panthers.
I don't think they'll lose one. They're going to be 2-3 at best because they're going to lose one, if not both of those games to Denver and Carolina.
Then you are home for the Saints.
That's a loss, 2-4.
Then you are at Cincinnati.
They could win that game, so I'll give them that one. That's 3-4.
Then you have Jets, Texans.
4-5 at best.
And then you have the bye. 4-5 at the bye. Like you said, 4-5 at best at the bye. Then you come out of that. Mind you, the Texans is not in Jacksonville. The Texans is in London.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the bye. You come out the bye with the Colts and the Titans. Both on the road.
I mean, again, at best, they're 5-6. At best.
Yep. Then after that, you come out of that, you get a pair of home games, the Buccaneers and the Chargers.
You could beat the Bucs, they'll lose to the Chargers. So again, at best, they're 6-7. At best.
Then you get a pair of road games. You go on the road again at Oakland and at Atlanta.
You could beat Oakland. You're not going to beat Atlanta. So you're at best, assuming they win all the games they can win, they're 7-8.
And then you have the Indianapolis Colts to end the season. 7-9.
I can't get them over 7-9, and that's if they beat all the teams. That again, I gave them the benefit of the doubt on a bunch of those to win that. I think best case they can go 7-9. What was the number?
7.5.
No, under then. There's no way. I don't see it.
It's on the under. The under is plus 140.
I'll take the under 7.5 wins. I like under 7.5 for Jacksonville. As a matter of fact, I'm writing this down because I'm going to go bet that one.
No, that's a good one. That's a very good one.
Jacksonville. Yeah.
Our boy Mike Blewett has he's in a pool, totals pool.
Really? I've never seen one of those.
I've never seen one of those either. I remember it's all he talked about last year. I'm going to hit him up and see if I can get some more information on that. He's in the totals pool. And I know there was some big money up in that joint. So, you know what I'm saying, Benny? I'm always down for some action.
So what do they do? Basically, is it like a auction? Like you bid for which one I
think maybe have like three or four teams.
Right.
That you can pick.
Uh-huh.
I think Spitting Speeds might be in that joint too.
It's like a draft. I'll you know what? We'll have to talk to Dane. Maybe we'll have Dane on and explain it to us, and then maybe we'll do one of those.
Yeah,
that sounds like fun.
You know that, no doubt. Remember they was talking. I remember it's all he talked about every Sunday morning. Blue was talking about that. The Tennessee Titans come in at 8. The juice is on the over. Oh,
how do you feel about the Titans this year, man? I'm like, this is another one of those teams that I'm just so up in the air on.
I'm not a Marcus Mariota guy. I don't like changing offensive schemes. I think they are a 8-8, 7-9 team.
Isn't that like every year though? Like I feel like the Titans every year
they figure out ways to get in the playoffs too, though.
That's what I'm saying. Like every year, I feel like they finish somewhere between 7-9 and 10-6.
Yep. Every
year, it's like the same. It's like clockwork, the same thing. But they can never get over that hump. But they never suck. You know what I mean? They're always in that. They're always in that middle thing where they're going for the 6th seed in the playoffs.
Tough stretch right here. Well, God, wow, this is going to be tough. But Tennessee's the type of team that figures this out. Listen to this stretch to end the season. This is from the middle of the season down. So this is like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, an 11-game stretch.
Okay.
An 11-game stretch at the Broncos.
Maybe.
Home for the Chargers.
It's a loss.
Home for the Buccaneers.
That's a win.
At the Panthers.
Maybe.
Then you get the Chiefs.
That's a loss.
Then you're home for the Jaguars.
It's a maybe.
Then you're at the Colts.
That's a loss.
At the Raiders.
I think you can win that game.
2 games with the Texans, with the Saints in the middle of it.
I'll get the Texans at Houston as a loss. I'll give them a maybe on the home game against the Texans, and then the Saints as a loss. So I have them at 2-5 with 4 maybes through that stretch.
Yeah. And
again, I don't know. I mean, even if you win half the maybes, I have them at 4-7 through that stretch.
For me, Benny, it's a no bet. I just don't know what that team doesn't have an identity to me.
To me, I don't understand how they finish every year 8-8. Like most of the time, I feel like they should be worse than that, but they always wind up doing it. So, what was the number for them?
8.5. I'm sorry, that's 8. They're 8.
What were the first? Because like I said, I have them at 2-5 and 4 through that stretch.
How they start?
If that start is even remotely close, like even remotely tough, I don't see how they get to 8.
The Browns, at Cleveland, home for the Colts, so they can start on.
That's 2 games they could lose, right?
Then they go on the road. They're at Jacksonville, at Atlanta.
Those aren't easy games either.
Nope. Then it's the Buffalo Bills, and then you get that 11-game stretch that we talked about.
I'll tell you what. What's the under on this?
The under is minus 130.
Yeah, I think the under 8. Yeah, under 8 seems like a really good bet here for the Titans.
Yeah,
I really don't see how they get there.
Up next, let's see a lot of people think it's going to be in the playoffs. That's the Houston Texans. They come in at 8.5, Benny. The Houston Texans. A lot of people are on the Texans. A trendy pick to win the AFC. A lot of people like this team a lot. Deshaun Watson has been excellent. If they're going to win the AFC, they're going to show a good season. They have to get started early because they kick it off in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome against the New Orleans Saints.
That's a tough one.
That's how they start.
That's a tough one. I would say that's a loss.
Because you're going into – that's their first game back in that building since that debacle in the NFC Championship game last year.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going into the pits of a hostile environment. You know what I'm saying? As they get ready to start the season. That one can get ugly. But you can make it – they get out of that. Then it's Jacksonville. Then it's at the Chargers.
That's a maybe game.
At the Chargers is a maybe game?
It's a maybe game.
Then they can get that one too. Then you get 2 NFC South teams at home, though. You get the Panthers and you get the Falcons in Houston.
I'm going to give them 1-1 through that stretch.
I agree with you on that. Then you go on the road for the Chiefs and you're at KC and you're at Indianapolis in back-to-back weeks.
They could lose both of those. I'll give them 1-1 in that. That might be that 4-game stretch that you just mentioned there. If they could go 3,
put the Chargers in that too. That's it.
Okay.
That 5 games, those 5 games right there will define it.
You got to go 3-2. You got to go 3-2 through those 5 games.
Yeah.
If you go 1-4 through those 5 games, you're going to get the under. If you go 3-2 through those games, you should be fine.
Then you get the Raiders, and then you're at then Jaguars. Then you have the bye week. You come out the bye. You go right to Baltimore.
That's a tough
Baltimore in
game.
November is tough.
It's a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll put it into maybe, but that's probably a loss.
Then you're home for the Colts. Primetime game versus the Colts. Is that Thanksgiving? No. Is that Thanksgiving? November 21st. That sounds too early to be Thanksgiving.
No, because it's always the 4th Thursday. So that would be, if the 21st is a Sunday, Thanksgiving would be 28th, 27th, 26th, 25th would be Thanksgiving.
That sounds more like what Thanksgiving would be, the 25th. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so that Sunday before Thanksgiving, that the Sunday night football game against the Colts. So it's Ravens. Oh, here we go again. Ravens, Colts, Patriots. Come out the bye week at Baltimore, home for the Indianapolis, and home for New England.
I got to be honest, this is a tough schedule that the Texans have, man.
Yeah.
Put it this way, if the Texans get through this schedule 10-6,
they can win the AFC.
Yeah,
they're in the AFC.
They're going to be a contender, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't be betting on it looking at this matchups.
They have to make their hay down the stretch. The Denver Broncos, the Tennessee Titans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and another game against Tennessee. They're going to need 4 wins right there.
They could end the season with 4 wins, so you got to be 6-6 going into that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and we're talking like you got the Patriots, you got the Chiefs, like that's a tough.
Ravens on this schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
on this schedule.
There's a lot of tough games in there. I don't know. What was the number? 8.5.
8.5.
You need to get to 9 wins. I don't know. I mean, I have
NFC South drawing the NFC South. That makes AFC South numbers and NFC South numbers. Well, the NFC South probably a little bit stronger than the AFC South. That makes these teams' numbers very difficult. This will make these teams' numbers very difficult. And
I'm not a huge fan of the Texans here. I got to be honest. I don't think I would take that one.
Yeah, it's 8.5. The juice is on the 8.5 too at plus 110. I think they come in at probably around 8.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't liked many in this division right now, and I can see why with the matchups. Like, yeah, I'm not in love with the Texans number.
And finally, you get to the AFC West and then get to some football. I mean, get to some baseball and some soccer. Get ready to get up out this joint, Benny. The Denver Broncos.
I view them as like an 8-8 team, like maybe somewhere around there, maybe even a little bit to the low side of that. What's the number on them?
7.
It's probably, like I said, a little bit to the low side. That's probably a good number on it.
Taking a quick glance at the schedule.
2 wins against Oakland.
All right, give them 2 wins against Oakland. They played the NFC North. They played
even Detroit. North. Even Detroit can beat you. Even Detroit could beat Denver, so that's not easy.
That game is to be determined. I've never seen that before.
What day is it?
It doesn't even have a date. Well, that Sunday would be whatever Sunday that is. That'd be the Sunday before New Year's. Well, that next Sunday, that'd be the Sunday right after Christmas. That'd be the Sunday right before Christmas. That game does not have a date. Does it not have a time? It doesn't have a time.
Because if it's the Sunday after Christmas, is that week 17?
That's week 16.
I guess maybe Christmas. Yeah, I guess maybe they're thinking because it could be flexed or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe down the stretch. Maybe you're right about that. Because they play the Lions in week 16. Quick glance at the schedule. They go at Green Bay. This is how they start. At Raiders, home for Bears, at Packers, home for Jaguars, at Chargers.
2-3 at best. You beat the Raiders, but who else do you expect them to beat through that?
That's you got. They have a good home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yep. So who are the home games there?
The Jaguars and the Bears.
They could get one of those two. So that's how I get to 2-3.
Okay.
Beat them both.
Pair of home games, Tennessee and Kansas City. They're going to play Kansas City tough in Denver.
Yes, and they should beat Tennessee again. I mean, I don't know. Like I think I viewed that as a maybe for Tennessee, so I got to view it as a maybe here too. And then you know KC at Denver.
Yep.
We'll put the KC at Denver game as the maybe.
Yeah, I think both of those are maybes too,
Mhm.
because remember the game last year? That's the game when Mahomes did like the
left-handed throw or
left-handed one. Yeah, that's that game. That game last year was in Denver. After they come out of that, they go to Indianapolis. To me, that's a loss. That's home for Cleveland. That's a big game. That's a big game for Cleveland. Is Cleveland going to be able to go in there and get a win?
Cleveland at Denver, I'll put in the maybe category. If it was Denver at Cleveland, that's definitely a loss to me.
Yep. Then they go on the road at Vikings, at Bills. They'll lose both those games.
Yeah, I'm definitely the Vikings game. I'll put Buffalo as the maybe, but I wouldn't be shocked if they lost it.
Home for the Chargers.
That's a loss.
Think the Chargers beat them twice?
I think the Chargers beat them twice.
Right.
I like the Chargers.
Okay. Then they go at Houston, at Kansas City.
Dude, at Houston, at Kansas City are two losses too.
Yep, I think so. Then you get this weird game versus the Lions, and then they close versus the Raiders. The two last games are at home.
I have them at 4-6 with 6 maybes.
And the number is 7.
So they'd have to go 3-3 in the maybes.
Yeah, no bet for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right number, so I'm not getting there.
Yeah, no bet for me. Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a big number. It's 10.5. Yeah, they got a lot of work to do to get to 10.5, Benny.
Do you think the Chiefs are better this year than they were last year?
We'll find out probably tomorrow. I can see that being a Friday news dump. Tomorrow, the Tyreek Hill. You'll get that Tyreek Hill information within the next week. That you have 4th of July next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good time of year for a news dump. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow would be a good day for a news dump, especially in a weekend heading into NBA free agency.
I don't see him getting more than 4 games.
I think that you see. Here's the thing. I think it's 6.
But then it gets.
Then he's like, that's bullshit. And they be like, okay.
Yep. No, I agree. I 100% agree. They may give him 6, and I think he appeals it, and I think it gets dropped down to 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm. Starts off at Jacksonville, at Oakland, 2 wins.
I think so.
Then they have a home. They open their first home game is versus the Ravens. I'm gonna give them that one. Then they go at the Lions. They're off to a 4-0 start.
I have them at 3-0 and a maybe.
Okay. Then you're home for the Colts and you're home for the Texans. I think they can win both of those.
I'm going to give them at 1 win and 1 maybe for that. So I got them 4-0-2.
I got them 5-1 right now.
Okay.
At the Broncos, that's a loss. Let's say that's a maybe or a loss.
That's a maybe. Okay.
Then it is home games versus the Packers and the Vikings.
I
probably want to stack that Packers game, Benny.
Yeah. The Vikings game too. Take all the wide receivers.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. The Vikings games too. Yeah. Both those games in Kansas City.
I have them at 6-0-3 right now.
Yeah.
I have 6 wins, no losses, 3 maybes.
Then they go on the road for Titans and Chargers.
Chargers is definitely a maybe. Titans on the road. I still think they win that game.
They remember the Charger game from last year was the game where they went for 2.
Yep. You know what? Honestly, this doesn't sound like a very tough schedule so far. They got to have some tough games coming up, right?
Not really. This is interesting. They might be able to get to this. Then they have their bye in week 12. They got a late season bye.
Okay.
They come out the bye with a home game versus the Raiders.
That's a win. So I got them at 8 wins already.
And then is the showdown. December 8th, they go at New England.
Yeah, they're not winning at New England.
Yeah.
That's a loss. Let's go.
And then they close Broncos at Bears and then home for the Chargers.
See, that's the tough one right there, those last 3.
Yeah.
At Denver or at home against Denver?
home versus Denver, home versus the Chargers. After the bye, their road games are the Patriots and the Bears.
I literally think those could be the two games they lose.
That Bears game is a night game, December 22nd. You could see weather in that game.
I have them right now at 8-2-6.
Yeah.
So they have to win, and I have the two losses being those two late season games at Chicago and at New England. The other games that we talked about that we said, those they could lose, I have them all as maybes. So those are the 6 maybes. So again, if you give them 500, if you give them 3-3 in those maybes, you're talking 11 wins.
Yep. So there you go. They're right on the number. That's not a tough schedule, Benny. They do not have a tough schedule.
When you first said 10.5, I was thinking I'm taking the under. But then when we go through the names and you start putting them in categories like that.
On that schedule, none of those strong teams from the AFC North on that schedule. They get a lot of their good teams at home. You know what I mean? And
that's the thing I noticed. A lot of those games actually are at Kansas City, which should help them out.
The Chargers are 9.5.
I feel like I want to say over here for the Chargers.
The juice is on the under, so you're correct. The over is minus 160. It starts off with the Colts.
That's a maybe.
Then you're at Detroit.
That's a win.
Home for the Texans.
That's a maybe. Although they'll probably win, but I'll put it as a maybe.
Then you're at Dolphins.
That's a win.
Then you have a pair of home games, Broncos and Steelers. Steelers is a showdown game.
I'm going to go 1 win and 1 maybe between those two.
Okay.
They're definitely getting one of them.
Then you're at Tennessee.
I think that's a win.
Then you're at Chicago.
I'll put that as a maybe. At Chicago is always a tough game.
It's the monsters of the Midway. Then you have home game versus the Packers.
I think they win that.
Then you go to Oakland.
That's a win.
Then you have the home game versus the Chiefs.
We'll put that as a maybe.
Then they get the late bye.
Okay.
Then they come out that bye, back-to-back road games at Denver, at Jacksonville.
I'm going to say – do we put those as maybes or 1 win, 1 maybe? What do you think? 1 win, 1 loss?
1 win, 1 loss.
Okay. 1 win, 1 loss on those. I'm good with that.
Then you have two home – that week 16 is blacked out for this entire division. Then you have 2 home games. You have 2 home games coming out to the West Coast, the Vikings and the Raiders.
Well, the Raiders are going to win. The Vikings I'll throw as a maybe, but they should win that game too.
And then you have the showdown to end the season at Kansas City.
So I have them at 8-2 with – I have them basically the same way I had KC. I have them 8-2 with 6 maybes.
Yep. So I think that getting over 9.5 is much more doable for them. I think talking with you and looking at the AFC West, this is where the overs may be at in the AFC West.
Yeah, the Chargers and the Chiefs are the two that I kind of like here of the overs. I got both of those circled right now. And again, it comes down to a lot. This is why the schedule is important when you start looking at these overs. You got to see what division these teams are playing and all that stuff to kind of get to where you want to go.
No doubt. The Dolphin game. What do you think about this, Benny? The West Coast team with a 1:00 start on the East Coast.
Listen, this is something that a lot of times has proven to be a moneymaker right now. You know, I mean, this is one of those Vegas spots that you always want to be. You always want to be on the underdog in these situations. Not even just the underdog with the points, but even just straight up the money line, because we've seen a lot of these
teams will be the underdog in that game.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's not even just taking the 6 points or whatever it is, but legit straight up betting on Miami. This is one of those sharp spots that, the Vegas guys always look at. It's tough, man. If you've ever flown one side of the country to the other or, flown from the East Coast to Europe, it takes your body a couple days to adjust. So if you're only there for a day or two before you have to play, your body still feels like it's 6 a.m. in the morning when you're going out there.
They have a similar situation. Would you say they have another 1:00 start, but it's against the Bears? That's not as bad, right?
I mean, it's an hour difference. Really, the big thing now, again, I've never seen somebody do the research on West Coast teams flying to, what is that, the central time zone, I guess, would be Chicago. I've seen the research, though, on West Coast teams flying to the East. And the most important thing to look at when you look at that research is the ROI. It's actually a positive ROI to bet against them, meaning if you just blindly bet every East Coast team that was hosting a West Coast team that was an underdog, you would make money if you just had bet them over and over year after year.
I would say really being in-depth and studying the point spreads last season, that week, right? Let's say that week, if the Chargers are in that like minus 175 to minus 215 range, that's a sign to go the other direction. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right.
They catch you. They'll catch you because you'll look at that money line and you'll say to yourself, oh, I'm getting them at minus 175 against the Dolphins. That's going to be a bet that people will hammer. Perfect example. Last year, when the Patriots went to Tennessee in the middle of the season, the Patriots were minus 195. And I was like, oh, my God. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
People were hammered that week. And guess what happened? The Tennessee Titans won that game. These guys are very smart. Last one we got, Benny, is the Oakland Raiders. 6.5 is the number.
Under.
Do we have
to go through the teams? It's under. We don't have to go that deep into this one. It's an under.
I think we have to go through the schedule, Benny. It's nothing to see on here, really. I'll be honest with you. Just looking at spots.
They're gonna finish 3-13, 5-11 at best. That's at best. They're 5-11.
Yeah, they got the Jets game. They got the 2 weeks Bengals Jets. You know,
how many games do you think the Raiders are going to be favored in this year?
None.
Over or under 2?
Under.
Yeah, like the Bengals maybe. Like there may be 1 or 2 games that they end up favored if they're at home, but I'm the same way. So I'm not going to take a 6-win number on a team that I don't think is going to be favored in more than 2 games this season.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree with you 100%. That makes excellent sense. So basically, all the information as we get closer to kickoff will be broken down, and you'll be able to get some of those winners over at EliteSportsBetting.com. Benny, what we got for prize picks before we get up out of here?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with some soccer action for prize picks today, and I think it's 2 different ones that you're going to have to bet, so you can't go 4x4 and put them together. But I like the 2x2 on the Women's World Cup. Ellen White is the striker for England. She's the girl that's been scoring all their goals. So I like her, and I'm playing her with our girl Megan Rapinoe, who had all those goals last time. Rapinoe took all the penalty kicks for Team USA in the last game. So that's why I like them. When you're doing this prize pick stuff and you're trying to get, like, basically 1 goal is going to put you over the number with a lot of these girls. You want the girl that's kicking the penalty kicks. Whether this is men's soccer, women's soccer, it doesn't matter. Whether you're betting first goals or if you're playing DFS or, like, prize picks, something like that. You always want the girls that are going to take the penalty kicks and the free kicks because they just get more opportunities to score goals, and really all you need is a goal to come off. So I like Ellen White. I like Megan Rapinoe. I like that 2x2 in the Women's World Cup. And then in Copa America, there's a 2x2 I like as well. Brazil plays today. They have a guy, Felipe Coutinho. Basically, he's like their center attack midfielder. He's the one who kind of pulls all the strings and sets everybody else up. So I expect him to get over his number today against Paraguay in a game that I expect Brazil to win. Big favorite, like minus 500. So there's no value there, but taking Coutinho is something I like. And then you could actually put him together with our boy Messi tomorrow against Venezuela. So Coutinho and Messi, 2 of my favorite players in the world. I'll take that 2x2 as well. Although you have to wait till tomorrow to get paid because you got to wait for the Argentina game and the U.S. game tomorrow in order for these to pay out.
There you go right there. MyPrizePicks.com. That promo code is ELITE. MLB tonight. What we got, Benny?
There isn't a lot, and I'm not even sure. I think the only game I liked on the tonight slate might have been the Angels. The Angels are minus 150. They're going up against a kid named Tanner Anderson from Oakland. This is basically like a rookie. He had a cup of coffee with, I want to say the Padres last year maybe. It wasn't Oakland. And then now he's had a couple starts here with Oakland. 26 major league innings, Corey. He's given up 28 hits. He's walked 12 batters, given up 15 runs. So this is the kind of guy you want to pick on. So I like the Angels at minus 150. The other games that I like the Dodgers, the Nationals, they're both like minus 200. So I don't really want to mess with them, although I think they'll both win. I will say this, though. I will caution people to stay away from Houston and stay away from Milwaukee because they're both big minus 200 favorites. I'm a little I'm a little nervous about both of those. If you're going to take a minus 200 favorite today, the Dodgers and the Nationals are better ones to take than.
Careful with that. Be careful with that chalk on baseball. You know what I'm saying?
That's why I'm saying I like the Dodgers and Nationals chalk. I'm good with that. I'm not good with Chase Anderson and Brad Peacock being pitchers. I'm taking minus 200 on.
There you go, right there. EliteSportsBetting.com. You know what I'm saying? You get the rest of the picks over there too from the rest of the crew. A big piece of chicken, Benny. I had it on my mind. I gotta give it to my man Woj. He is coming into his season where he dominates. You're gonna see a lot of Woj bombs over the course of the next 72 hours or so. Woj gets my big piece of chicken. He's really, not only does he do a good job with that, with that insider information, he's an excellent writer too. He had one of the best lines I've ever written. He did an expose on J.R. Smith, and he said that J.R. Smith pretends to be this tough guy. And they were like, that J.R. Smith pretends to be this tough guy. He said J.R. Smith is a spoiled suburban jump shooter.
He's honestly not wrong. He's not wrong, to be honest with you.
You know what I'm saying? So Woj gets the big piece of chicken.
Yeah, I'm going to give mine out to Josie Altidore, the striker for Team USA. Had the big goal to help Team USA win last night. Team USA looks really good in the Gold Cup, which is awesome to see because this is a team that screwed up and didn't qualify for the last World Cup.
Yep.
They really look like they got their stuff together. They looked pretty good last night. And it looks like all these guys have completely bought in and are, playing their asses off because they don't want to be the U.S. team or the generation of U.S. soccer that doesn't make the World Cup twice in a row. So they're looking pretty good. And he's the guy that finally got the goal and is starting to get some of the accolades because he came up as a striker at like 19 years old for the national team. And, it seems like he's been around forever, but he's still only in like his mid-20s. So Josie Altidore, thank you for the goal last night. Big piece of chicken.
All right, for my main man, Benny Ricciardi, Corey Parson, the fantasy executive, the opening line, we are out.